Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please take your seats and we will go ahead and get started. You did such a good job quieting down. Wow, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to all of you completing a graduate degree, friends and family, ESF President Mahoney, Provost Mukasa, and Trustee Fisher, faculty, and staff. We also welcome those of you who are watching this ceremony from afar. I am Dr. Andrea Feldbosch-Parker. I serve as the Dean of the Graduate School, and I have the pleasure today of leading this ceremony to celebrate the accomplishments of our graduate students who have completed the requirements of the Certificate of Advanced Study, Master's, and PhD degrees. As we begin, I would like to acknowledge where we stand. We have the privilege of meeting today in the ancestral lands of the Onondaga Nation, the center of the 6 nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, who we honor for their many contributions, including the original philosophy and practice of environmental stewardship. I now invite President Mahoney to the podium to share her greeting with all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Feldbosch-Parker. Thank you very much, and welcome to all of you for this really exciting day. I am reminded what my husband tells me is that at these ceremonies, no one goes away wishing the president talked longer. Is that right? We have the main event, which is the opportunity to honor our students. So I will be brief, but it's important to me that I thank all of you, everybody here. Our students have been huge contributors to ESF in their time here, not only in their scholarship and their contributions to the world at large, but to us here at ESF as research assistants, graduate assistants, making our campus a better place by virtue of their presence. And I know that they can't do that without the support of their family and friends behind them and people who have been supporting them on this journey. So I want to thank all of our loved ones that are here to help celebrate our students. And I also want to thank our faculty that serve as major professors. I know that this is also a monumental accomplishment for you all, and I appreciate the work that you all do to help our students get here to where they are. So with that, I will step aside and just congratulate all of you and look forward to hooding you and congratulating you in person in just a minute. Thank you.
Thank you, President Mahoney. The students we honor here today are about to be graduates of ESF's Graduate School, the only U.S. institution of higher learning dedicated solely to the study of environment in all its capacities and complexities, from basic and applied science to engineering, design, and planning. The Graduate School at ESF advances environmental leadership through relationship by enabling graduate and professional students to create knowledge and to develop skills to improve our world. These students are mentored by the incredibly talented faculty of ESF who walk with them throughout their graduate experiences. Faculty mentors learn with their students as they teach, listening and guiding along the way, helping each person to find their distinctive contribution to improve our world. It is my pleasure to introduce Provost Samuel Mukasa, ESF's Chief Academic Officer, to recognize the faculty.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am absolutely delighted that you could all join us today for this important ceremony to honor the accomplishments of our graduate students. Allow me a minute or two to acknowledge the important group of people who have contributed immensely to the success of the students that we are celebrating here today, and that is the ESF faculty. ESF faculty create, teach, and mentor graduate students in 8 program areas on our campus. Each of those program areas provides a unique opportunity for students to further their education with professors who are often the leaders in their respective fields and who are dedicated to both teaching and research. It is my pleasure to recognize the achievements of the faculty who have mentored the graduate students we're celebrating here today. And let me ask for all of the faculty who are present in the room to please rise and be recognized. Thank you all.
You will hear from the primary advisors of these students, we call them major professors, who have worked closely with and will tell us about the students' contributions. Faculty advisors have been asked to share with us 1 minute about how each student's efforts help to improve our world. You may have heard that slogan before, as it aptly describes why we are all here, to improve our world, each using our own unique gifts to do so. These graduate students have spent countless hours, days, weeks, months, and years studying the nuances of the world around us in an effort to better understand how we can all live together as nature. Joining us today on the podium are President Joni Mahoney, Provost Samuel Mukasa, and Trustee William Fisher. They will assist with hooding the doctoral candidates, congratulate all students, and give them a small gift from the graduate school and a special recognition of their individual achievement from the Graduate Student Association. As you are ready to meet this extraordinary group of people, the students completing Certificate of Advanced Study, Master's, and PhD degrees at ESF Graduate School. Would the PhD candidates please line up with your major professors? And if you want to come on up. Faculty advisors, please go to the podium and start telling us your name and the name of your student. Then share with us 1 minute about your students' efforts to help improve our world. Students, please stand between your major professor and President Mahoney for your introduction. After the introduction, please proceed to be congratulated by President Mahoney, Provost Mukasa, Trustee Fisher, and to receive a small gift. After the introduction, major professors should come over to help President Mahoney to hood the student, pause for a photograph, then proceed back across the platform to further be congratulated by Provost Mukasa and Trustee Fisher to receive a gift. Okay. We now recognize the doctoral students in the Division of Environmental Science.
Hi, my name's Stu Demont, and it's my great pleasure to introduce, I'm in Environmental Biology Department, my great pleasure to introduce Jorge Garcia Polo, whose dissertation was Maya Traditional Ecological Knowledge and Western Scientific Knowledge and Setting Principles and Priorities to Wetlands of Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, for his PhD in Environmental Science. Lake Atitlan, Guatemala is a beautiful, although degraded lake in Guatemala, where Jorge comes from. And Mayan communities around Lake Atitlan use a tool to, which is taifa, cattail, and bulrush, and they weave mats with it, but they also steward wetlands, and it's a very ancient and important form of restoration and conservation. And what Jorge did is they looked at this traditional knowledge, and in concert with scientific knowledge to understand how we can restore these degraded places, interweaving these knowledges, and we really found that they were complementary and could work together. It was novel, culturally sensitive, and it's really driving our restoration of this area moving forward. But I should also mention that Jorge met his wife Sarita during his program here. She was doing her PhD in forestry. Who knew? And their 3-year-old son, Jose, is also with us today. Say hi, Jose. Where are you? Oh, they're right there. And they've now settled in Alberta, Canada for postdoctoral work and preschool.
Oh, yep. Yep, go to get a picture.
Good afternoon. My name is Colin Byer. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Sustainable Resources Management. A little more than 5 years ago, I received kind of a random email from a software engineer working for a boutique investment firm in Boston. He was looking for an opportunity to follow a different path, one that would not help the rich get richer, but would fulfill his desire to improve our world. At that time, I was negotiating a very ambitious project with New York State DEC to build a system for mapping all of New York's forests and their past, present, and future climate benefits. New York had just passed the most aggressive climate law in the United States, which heavily relies on our forests to achieve a net zero economy. Our project would build the foundation of maps, data, statewide decision tools by which this could be achieved. No big what. Lucas is a Syracuse guy, born and raised just a few miles from here. He attended Tufts University for computer science and where he won a national championship in lacrosse. His path to and through ESF was not a typical one. It required a lot of courage and creativity. He started as a master's student here, but quickly proved himself as a doctoral level scientist, and so now stands before you, or in a moment, as Dr. Lucas Johnson. I can't begin to tell you about all that he's accomplished here and achieved. Our insanely ambitious project has been a resounding success. Thanks as much to Lucas as anyone, including myself. He and I blazed this trail together from the very start. No matter how many switchbacks we faced or reversals we faced, he never wavered. He's been the anchor, the captain of our dream team of students that's done this work, and he's helped make it all happen. I can't overstate how essential and impactful his contributions have been, how bright his future is, or how grateful I've been to be his mentor, collaborator, and friend. Lucas, above all, it's truly been fun. Thank you.
Hello,
My name is John Stella, and I'm a professor in the Department of Sustainable Resources Management and the Vice President of Research here at ESF. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Melissa Rohde, whose dissertation is titled Groundwater for Ecosystems, Reliance, Resilience, and Threats from Groundwater Depletion and a Changing Climate. So, as you can probably tell by her dissertation title, Melissa is a hydrologist who studies groundwater-dependent ecosystems, such as wetlands and riparian areas, and how to assess their water needs and contribute to policies that can mitigate the worst effects of global change on these sensitive ecosystems. In her research, she combines very large data sets on vegetation, hydrology, socioeconomic factors, and other data sets in novel and creative ways to address issues that are directly related to policy and management of water. She has worked in California, in Washington State, across the West, and globally. The groundwater crisis, which her research addresses, has been developing for decades, but has burst into the public consciousness as another way that human-caused climate change and resource use interact. When Melissa came to ESF to do her PhD, she was already an accomplished scientist working to improve our world. She was a groundwater scientist at the Nature Conservancy of California, where she worked in water science and policy issues to advance sustainable management. We were collaborating on an NSF-funded project, and I was recruiting a PhD student, and Melissa asked, well, how about me? Having completed a master's degree at both Stanford and Oxford and multiple peer-reviewed papers, this was not a hard sell. Now, after having finished her PhD her dissertation less than 5 months ago, Melissa's published all 3 of her chapters in very high-level journals, including the journal Nature. And she has been highlighted in publications such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the LA Times, in addition to numerous environmental blogs. I'm really, really proud of her, and she has done this while working full-time and raising a young family, and I just look forward to seeing her positive impact grow, and I'm sure that you'll be seeing more of that in the coming decades. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sharon Moran from the Department of Environmental Studies, and today I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Sophie Brown, who has just finished her dissertation titled Reversing the Flow, Name Reclamation and Knowledge Uncovering in Haudenosaunee Territory. And a great thing about this dissertation is there's something for everybody. If you're a person who just drives by and looks at names, you can learn more about how they came to be what they are. If you already speak Mohawk or Onondaga, you can learn more about how other languages refer to places from your language. And if you're a visual thinker, there's a few watercolors of lakes. I think that's unique for an ESF dissertation. It's setting a precedent. But also precedent setting is her methodology, which takes special care to preserve cultural knowledge and attend to what needs to be cared for in our region. Well done, Sophie.
Hi, I'm Steve Stamen from the Department of Sustainable Resources Management, and I'd like to introduce now Dr. Dingfan Xing. Quantifying land cover change over time is critical to our understanding of the environment. We'd like to know how quickly we're gaining or losing forest and snow cover, how fast our cities expanding. And Dingfan developed statistical methods to better understand sample-based estimates of these types of land cover change. If we understand sources of uncertainty better, we might be able to reduce those uncertainties and understand estimates of change over time. She's currently continuing her work as a postdoc at the University of Tennessee. Her work on assessment of uncertainty has certainly improved our world, and I think her as a person has improved our world. I've really enjoyed working with her over the past 4 or so years. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Margaret Bryant. I'm with the Department of Landscape Architecture, and it is my great honor to present Dr. Yao Wang. Yao improves her world by helping communities plan for the effects of climate change, with a particular emphasis on communities along the coast that are facing sea level rise. Her dissertation, which I'll have to read the title of, Building Resilience Planning Capacity for Climate Change Through the Lens of Knowledge Co-Production. So she did a case study of communities in Louisiana, and she defended her dissertation last August, so she has returned to us for commencement. She studied Louisiana, and then she got a tenure track faculty position as an assistant professor at Louisiana State University. And she has spent the last year teaching. I have to add, well, first of all, she also improves her world through excellent teaching. She received a number of accolades from our own students, many of whom are fans that are also graduating today or this weekend. They voted her an honorary member of our Landscape Architecture Honor Society, Sigma Lambda Alpha. She won an ESF Excellence in Teaching Award in 2022, and she received the Outstanding PhD Scholar in Environmental Science Award in 2021. I have to say that Yao is a wonderful person that is part of a wonderful family that's sitting right here in the front row. Her parents are here from China. She has this amazing story of a twin sister, also in her regalia, from Virginia Tech. Yao last August successfully defended her dissertation 2 days prior to her sister doing the same. They both got tenure track positions with the sister at the University, Chung, at the University of Georgia. So very special. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. My name is Wendong Tao from Department of Environmental Resources Engineering. It's my great pleasure to introduce my environmental science PhD candidate, Asha Iftikhar. 5 years ago, Aisha came to ESF as a Fulbright scholar. Her research was to develop a technology to extract the phosphorus from wastewater and return to agriculture as a fertilizer. We call struvide. There are two benefits: removing contaminants from wastewater and produce a marketable product. What she did differently from industry practice is there is no chemicals used to produce the fertilizer, so making the fertilizer promising for organic production. She was one of the 2 student entrepreneur leaders, interviewed more than 100 potential customers, and that was in 2022. And we found that there is a market fit of our technology, proposed the technology in 2022. After that, proof of concept was done by experiments in the lab and pilot tests. And she presented the innovation in New York World Environment Association annual conference, won the first prize in university presentations. And ESF is preparing for filing U.S. patent application. And the first part of her research has been published in Journal of Cleaner Production. We hope in 2 years, we will have the product approved for organic production, enter into the OMRI list, products list. If you run organic farms, hope you will switch low nutrient organic fertilizers to our high nutrient natural fertilizers after 2 years. And Aisha is going back to Pakistan as faculty member in the University of Veterinary and Animal Science.
All right, so I'm Josh Cousins. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental Studies. I'm just incredibly happy to introduce Dr. Asif Mahmood here, who's my first PhD student. His dissertation was titled Ecologies of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Notes on Infrastructural Thinking and State Formation. It was a really incredibly rich, multi-sided ethnography that really offered an incredible amount of insight and depth to the nuanced ways that policy plays out and gets really just plays out on the ground through everyday lived experiences and what impact that might have on issues of equity and justice. And he's really improving our world in so many ways, especially in the ways that we think about the relationships between law and policy, infrastructure, and sustainable development. And I just see so much potential for Asi's work to have an incredible impact on how we might improve those relations in a more just and equitable way. But I'd also be amiss if I didn't talk about Asi's incredible productivity while at ESF as well. So Asi's published 7 articles while at a PhD student here at SUNY ESF, all single or first authored papers, and all in the top journals in his field. So I'm just incredibly pleased with all the incredible work that Asi's done here. And I couldn't have asked for a better first PhD student, and I'm just incredibly excited for this moment. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Bandaru Ramarao. I go by the name Ram. I'm with the Department of Chemical Engineering. I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Dwyer Stewart to you, who's received his PhD just recently, a week ago, from our department. And the title of his thesis is Depth Filtration Analysis and Modeling of Biocolloidal Suspensions. Dwyer came to us, ESF, from New Rochelle, New York, and he came to get his bachelor's and stayed on to get his PhD with us. And while investigating his biocolloidal suspensions, he started off with lignocellulosic suspensions in the biorefinery and what are the effective ways of separating them. And he moved on, he found that there are applications for separating things like monoclonal antibodies. He did an internship at Regeneron, and he applied his techniques to those, and he developed some extraordinarily fine models for filtration and separation, what's called downstream processing of various kinds of biocolloidal suspensions. He's going to improve the world, and I hope we really look forward to do that as a process scientist at Regeneron, developing new drugs, new pharmaceutical procedures, and so on. Dwyer, congratulations. And while he was here, he also happened to meet his fiancée, Daivi Ghosh. Thank you.
My name is Robert Meyer. I'm a professor up in chemical engineering. A few years ago, I had an applicant who said that he was in a sawmill and was able to take the waste wood and make new products out of it, which impressed me a lot. After he came here, he's been studying microscopy, light microscopy, electron, and microscopy, both scanning and transmission. He's used electron beam radiation to affect hard maple in order to make it more amenable to grinding up to use as a filler for plastics. His main professor probably wasn't hard enough on him because while he was here, he kind of sidetracked over to SU to pick up a master's from Maxwell School. Should have had you work harder, huh? He does life cycle analysis and other things to have an idea how the work that he does. He makes good plastics for prolonged life. He works full-time now with Toyota. He is a son and a husband and a father, so he is doing well in the world. In bottom of his acknowledgments in his dissertation, he said that he was grateful to God Almighty. So he's been doing a great job, and he's off to a wonderful start.
Hi everyone, I'm Chang-gun Yu from Chemical Engineering Department. It's an honor to introduce my recent graduate student, Anchi Ji. Anchi came to ESF 2018 as a 3+1 BUCT ESF program. And then after her bachelor degree, she joined to my PhD study. And then she she is currently actually working as a postdoc at UW Medicine, and during her PhD, she investigated the application of biomass-derived material for 3D printing, which is for future eco-manufacturing. So her work proved we can replace lots of petroleum-based material and then product by sustainable and green feedstock. And with her great result, she got the faculty position Howard University at Washington, D.C., so she will join the faculty position from next month. Congratulations, Anchi. Since I already introduced myself, I don't need to do it again. So another person is Dr. Mandeep Punia. He graduated 2023 summer and has worked as a technical manager and Whiteman Electronic Technology at Vermont. Mandeep's research focused on upcycling industrial waste, including rejected fiber and remove the lignin from the pulp industry, which are typically used as are considered as a waste. So in addition to the recycling some waste product, he also studied how to upcycling and then increase the sustainability and eco-friendliness. His work contributes to our society how to improve the sustainability and the product and then reduce the carbon emission to save our earth. So I believe his research and his work in the industry improve our environmental friendly condition and also for the future eco-manufacturing. Congratulations, Dr. Punia.
Okay, hello, I'm CJ Liu. I'm from the Department of Chemical Engineering. And today I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Wang, Dr. Jianfei Wang, who just finished his PhD program at SUNY ESF. And Dr. Wang came to us from Beijing University of Chemical Technology. He spent 1 year here during our joint bioprocess engineering program. And now he's graduating in PhD. So actually he came to us in 2018. So he joined my research group in 2019. And his research project is focusing on the renewable bioplastics, in particular polyhydroxyl butyrate. And his ultimate goal is producing PHB through a circular route, meaning that after the bioplastics is being used, and then we can recycle the bioplastics into its original form. Now, having said that, I did not repeat that because his project is similar to what we had before as well, utilizing woody biomass and waste material for the plastic production. Okay, congratulations, Dr. Wang. Okay, here again, and I'm introducing another doctor, Dr. Jin Lei Jinlei Xie. Jinlei came from China as well. He come from Tianjin University of Science and Technology. So he came to us in 2020, just prior to COVID, actually. He came to us just 1 month before the university almost shut down during that time. So, and he has been studying the improvement of utilization of woody biomass, in particular using the woody biomass as a material. So he's trying to modify the fibers through enzymatic hydrolysis and look at the interaction of hydrolysis enzyme and the fiber. So this way we can improve our world by maximize the utilization of woody biomass and the fibers. Okay, congratulations, Jinlei.
Hi, I'm Jamie Morawski, and I'm really excited to introduce Dr. Amanda Charette. Throughout her 6 years at ESF, Amanda's work, both in research and service, have helped improve our world. Amanda came to ESF in 2018 after completing her bachelor's in both forensic science and chemistry at the University of New Haven. She initially started ESF as a master's student, and she completed that degree in May 2020 before continuing on for her PhD here. At ESF, Amanda was interested in using her educational background in chemistry, in forensic science, to evaluate more social science-related issues. Therefore, her research over the last 6 years has focused primarily on hazardous polluting facilities and the communities that they may affect in New York State. She has investigated how proximate different socioeconomic groups are to hazardous polluting facilities, the potential exposure of these groups, and how they might face greater quantities and toxicities of hazardous chemicals, how these chemical releases across the state have changed over the past several decades, and the potential environmental inequities faced by prison and juvenile delinquent populations. During her time here, Amanda has published 3 papers, 2 of which were first authored. Additionally, in her time at ESF, she has focused on providing service not only to her department, but also to her students as a TA, the campus, and the greater scientific community as a whole. After graduating, Amanda will continue to improve our world as she goes on to work for New York State's Department of Environmental Conservation, serving as a research scientist where she'll be helping to inform new policies that are focused on protecting the public from toxic chemical exposure via consumer products. Congratulations, Amanda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gyurim from Chemistry Department. She joined my research group in 2018. Her thesis title is Hydronatrium Transfer-Mediated Catalysis for CC sigma bond cleaves and formation under aerobic condition. Wow, this is such a very, lot of technical the words, but let me transfer to the plain language. Her research is focusing on the synthesized, polymer material by using environment-friendly, catalysis instead of toxic chemicals. Also, she developed a new method to break down, chemical bond in order to convert from, waste material or linear material to value-added chemicals. So she has a multiple publication, more than 8 papers. And then one of the papers is selected as a cover page of journal, Sustainable Energy and Fuel. That's one of the top journal in the area of energy. By the way, I just met her mom. Her name is Mrs. Chun Song Hye. She came here, just 3 days ago. So she's, almost took 20 hours to see the her daughter graduation. I really thank you for her mom to support the daughter. Anyway, congratulations, Serona Kim.
Hello, I'm Dr. John Farrell, and I'm a professor in environmental biology, and I'm also a director of the ESF Thousand Islands Biological Station, and it's a great pleasure today to announce Anna Hawes, Dr. Anna Hawes, to you. ESF is unique for field stations, and we have a tiny island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River where Anna endured 4 or 5 years in field seasons studying round goby and aquatic invasive species to the Great Lakes in North America. And she did improved our world through helping us learn about an invasive pathogen, viral hemorrhagic septicemia, that came in, mutated, and became a freshwater isolate here in the Great Lakes. And she determined that the round goby, another invasive species, is the host of that supports this viral hemorrhagic septicemia, which has devastated muskie populations in the river, which happens to be a species managed by ESF through our long-term program at the Thousand Islands Biological Station. So Anna improved our world in many other ways in her interactions with students. She taught high school students multiple times at the Cranberry Lake Biological Station. She also taught limnology for a professor on sabbatical and got marks that some of our faculty would be envious of. And she's leaving us. She came to us from Cornell, and she's taking a position with the Watershed Resources Institute at Cornell as a research associate. So we're very proud of Anna and her accomplishments. Thank you, Anna.
My name is Roxanne Razavi, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental Biology. And it is my honor, along with my colleague, distinguished Professor Dr. Karin Limburg, to introduce Dr. Hadis Mirali today.
When Hadis contacted me, she sent me a paper that she'd written for her master's, which was about marking sturgeon with an isotope. It's kind of related to what she ended up doing here a little bit. But I said, I don't really have any funding, but if you want to come over, we'll take a chance and see what happens. Well, the chance happened. We hit the big time with an NSF grant, and that put her on her way.
Dr. Hadis Mirali's dissertation, Microchemical Analyses of Fish Ear Stones and Eye Lenses to Assess Climate-Driven Deoxygenation on Aquatic Contamination. Deoxygenation is the extremely rapid loss of oxygen that we are seeing across our lakes and oceans with climate change. And this has the unintended consequence of increasing mercury pollution and mercury exposure in fish. And Dr. Hadis Mirali has shown incredible determination and hard work and courage to take on this novel approach to develop fish exposure biomarkers to these climate change stressors. And she has done an incredible job, published her dissertation chapter to wide interest, and her next steps will include applying these techniques to the Adirondack ecosystem, which are also losing oxygen rapidly. So we're very excited and proud of her. Congratulations.
My name is Lindy Quackenbush. I'm the chair of the Department of Environmental Resources Engineering, and I'm very pleased today to be introducing Dr. Maggie DeClercq, who has just finished a PhD in ERE. I'm here representing her major professor, Dr. Ted Andreni, who's on sabbatical this semester and is unable to join us. Shade trees provide a natural approach to reduce energy demand for cooling, which can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help mitigate climate change. Maggie's research focused on developing a new building energy model, iTree Energy, that used weather, building, and tree characteristics to quantify the space conditioning benefits of urban shade trees across the lifetime of the tree. The toolkit Maggie developed will help communities improve their resilience to the changing climate in a sustainable way. Maggie has worked as a plant environmental control engineer at the Buffalo stamping plant of the Ford Motor Company for the past 3 years. She's already implemented components of her research within Ford, which has enabled improvements within local facilities, as well as integration in sustainable site initiatives at Ford manufacturing sites across North America. I know her family is very proud of her, and I'm very pleased to present Dr. Maggie DeClercq.
Okay, thank you everyone, and congratulations to all of our newly minted PhDs. We will continue with recognizing students completing master's degrees. Faculty members or faculty advisors, please go to the podium and start by telling us your name and the name of the student. Then share with us 1 minute. May I repeat that? 1 minute about each student's efforts to help improve our world. Students, please stand between your major professor and President Mahoney for your introduction. After the introduction, please proceed to be congratulated by President Mahoney, Provost Mukasa, Trustee Fisher, and to receive a gift. We now recognize the master's students in the Division of Environmental Science.
Hi, my name is Tim Volk, a professor in Sustainable Resources Management, and I'm happy to introduce Asmarie Afnan here, who did her master's in the Environmental Science program. Asmarie was a force here on campus when she was here. She helped redo the website in the graduate's office. She did work with the Nature Conservancy. She developed workflows for UAV data I had, and volunteered on student organizations. So definitely had an impact while she was here. And in addition to doing all that, she did a master's thesis. Her master's thesis was on a comparative life cycle analysis of different types of sound barriers. So you all see these concrete or transparent sound barriers on the side of the highway. She compared them to a new novel method using willow that's been developed in Canada. And she showed that there's dramatic reductions in greenhouse gas emissions with these new types of systems, and we need to think about this as we build out new infrastructure. For example, on I-81, there will be several miles of these noise barriers. It would be great if we made them out of something other than concrete and steel. There's an option to do that now. There's actually a company that has taken over the license from the group in Canada to put these up here in the United States, and hopefully this work that she did will help people convince that there are clear climate benefits to doing this. So congratulations, Asmarie.
I'm still Sharon Moran from Environmental Studies, but now I'm happy to introduce Mackenzie Gregg, who came to ESF from Colgate University, where she earned a bachelor's degree in environmental science. And she also explored the topography of watersheds by being on the ski team all 4 years and going down hills. So here at ESF, she completed a master's thesis, which is titled Beneath the Surface, Septic System Management in New York State Watersheds. So this tells you about that other side of watersheds, which we know abstractly about the water cycle, but it's not fun to think about it. But it's super important because more than a quarter of households are on septic, not sewer. And exploring these ramifications is absolutely essential for watershed health in New York State going forward. Well done, Mackenzie.
Hi, I'm Dr. Weiss, and I'm very happy to be here in all the ways. Mackenzie Case was funded by a McIntyre Sinus grant, Mackenzie also received support from the Waterman Fund and the Randolph G. Pack Graduate Student Fellowship. Her thesis is entitled Northeast Hiker Preparedness, A Balance of Risk and Experience. The Improve Our World part is the collaboration with our 10 partnering organizations and agencies that will make alpine recreation safer and conserving alpine plant communities, which are climate change indicators. Mackenzie was just awarded the Jeep's Outstanding Masters of Science Scholar Award. Mackenzie, thank you so much for your good humor, your excellent leadership, and your personal and professional growth. I'm so proud of you, and I'm from environmental studies.
Greetings. I'm Greg Boyer, Professor Emeritus in the Department of Chemistry, and I'm pleased to introduce Sydney Hall, who's getting her master's degree in Jeeps. Sydney came from John Carroll University with a degree in chemistry and joined our group working on harmful algal blooms and toxic cyanobacteria with a specific emphasis on how to get community scientists more involved in protecting their waters. Her thesis is entitled Evaluation of a Planar Waveguide Biosensor for the Rapid Detection of Cyanobacteria in Natural Waters. In simple terms, that's a home pregnancy kit for cyanobacteria toxins that not only tells you the red line, yes, no, but will actually give you a number, whether it's below the regulatory guidance value, in an area of concern, or above the regulatory guidance value. And she's worked very closely with a private company called Lightdeck out of Colorado to both improve their thing and to test it in New York State waters. She's been a dream to work for. A very short story on how independent she is. For all major professors, we always worry if our students are going to get a job. And so, you know, we reach out to our colleagues. So one day I got an email that basically said, I'm looking for someone to come work at The Ohio State University. And I forwarded to Sydney. And her response was basically, yes, I've seen the application. I've applied to the job. They've offered me the position. I've turned the position down, and I've taken another position at Upstate Freshwater. I hope that's okay with you. And my response was, yeah, I think I could live with that. I'm delighted she will be at Upstate Freshwater because that means we can continue to work together.
Next, we recognize the master's students in the Department of Environmental Biology.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. My name is Josh Drew from Environmental Biology. For the past 2 years, I've had the sincere pleasure of working with Grace Grimes to think about how oysters influence stakeholders and how stakeholders influence oysters in Long Island. Grace's work is in supportive and embedded in community, and that's what I find most inspiring about it. From voluntarily moving to Long Island to be able to better understand how stakeholders work there, to working with an oyster company to get a better understanding of what that labor looks like, Grace is consistently and thoroughly dedicated to a deep understanding of how humans and natures work together. And even in Syracuse, she's been an innovative member of the lab, one who we will miss, but one who we will cheer on as she moves on to the next community that she's going to share her gifts with. Thank you, Grace. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Stu Demon again, and I was told that I went way over last time. Okay, so Allison Stevens is getting her MS in conservation biology. Her thesis is overstory composition and topography derive fitness and flavor in Allium trichocum. Wild leek is an important spring ephemeral in this area, and it's important culturally, but it's also a wonderful ingredient. And Al is a cook, so she was really interested in that's the ingredient and how restoration can include forageables. And this work that she did, looking at how happy essentially wild leeks are in the environment, was important for Onondaga Nation, which is this is an important species for their use. The Center for Native Peoples and the Environment, Syracuse Urban Food Forest Project, and the Parks Department. And what you found is that slope was really a big deal, and overstory community was a big deal. I'm not going to go into more detail because I don't have time. But essentially, it's helping us set restoration pathways for these particularly species which are at risk. The species which is at risk. She's going to continue research and field work as part of the Olympic Experiment Forest in Washington. And let me look at my notes to see if I forgot anything else. Now, those are most of the great things, but there are a lot of other great things too, but I'm not going to say them because I don't have any time. Okay, so, all right, well, so my pleasure to Okay, it's also my pleasure to introduce Alicia Killingsworth, who's getting her MS in conservation biology. She looked at sound of regeneration, characteristics of the primary forest and secondary forest in the high elevation tropical Andes. And it's critical, this particular area. It's a highly biodiverse area, and it's also at risk. And many community organizations, some indigenous community organizations, also nonprofits are working on restoration, but we don't fully understand what that restoration looks like and how we arrive. And so what Alyssa did is she looked at this community in Ecuador. Should I mention she was in Ecuador? Yeah, in Ecuador in the field. And she looked at the plant community, which is a very standard method of looking at how things go. But she also did what is called bioacoustic monitoring, essentially putting out recorders and then teaching a computer program how to recognize different species, which is really important in thinking of low-cost methods for communities to understand how successful restoration is. And well, she found that the plant community is actually the plant community and the animal community are dependent on where you are in the restoration. So it's a really good way of monitoring and way of thinking about it now for community members, and she's getting better at this. And speaking of getting better at this, she got this really highly competitive grant that no one gets as a master's student from the Rainforest Alliance, and that's going to allow her to continue this work in Ecuador next year, working with the Fundación Humbata? Yeah, Fundación Humbata. Okay. Thank you very much, and my congratulations to Alyssa. Yeah. Okay, my name's Stu Dima. I still have no time. So, okay, so Emily Jones as getting her master's in environmental biology, and she did her work with an MPS was stream wetland mapping on the lands of the land to be returned to Onondaga Nations, the South Parcel. And one of the things is Emily wanted to work with the nation when she was here, and so her work is in direct service to this effort. And I don't know if you knew this, we mentioned it at the beginning, but sometimes people forget. We're on Onondaga Nation land right here. Yeah. And due to a number of issues through the years, I mean, that the land was taken, right? And a lot of that land, not a lot, 1,000 acres, is actually giving back as part of the restoration effort. But what Emily's work is helping us do is to return this land, is that this land can be returned, but it can be meaningful more than just land, but like how relationship is returned. And so one of the key species, let me walk you through this really quickly. One of the key species is brook trout. That's important to the Onondaga. But the brook trout require streams that are healthy and wetlands that are healthy. And so what Emily did was evaluate this land, looking at those wet areas to try to determine where we're going to be able to really restore brook trout population. So when these lands are returned, that we're also returning meaning. And she's going to go on to Massachusetts Audubon as a restoration ecologist. And let me look at my notes. Nothing else. I mean, there are a lot of other things once again, but I have no time. So I'll see you all later. No, I'm done now.
There's some water in the back. We need it.
Stu, that's a lot to follow. Appreciate it. I'm Dr. Mike Schumer. I'm an associate professor here at ESF in the Department of Environmental Biology. We have a lot of special ESF students, but every once in a while, you have a very special student that comes along, like Riley Stedman. Riley started in our lab when she transferred here as an undergrad in 2018. She came to me immediately and worked in our waterfowl and wetlands lab. She graduated at the top of her class with her bachelor's in wildlife science, and then she went on to work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Minnesota. And she's from Western New York. All right, I'm doing it. Go Bills. She's from Western New York, and then she went out to the prairies, and we had this really cool project on Eastern Long Island working with ducks and trying to understand how we could save green space for people and ducks at the same time and duck habitat at the same time. So I called her up and I said, hey, do you want to go work on Eastern Long Island? And she said yes. And so she did a fantastic job with that project. We have some really neat management recommendations for saving ducks and green space on Eastern Long Island from her project. She won the Chamberlain Scholarship while she was here, which goes to an outstanding female working in avian management, and that is a short amount of time. And she also got the Central New York Wildflowers Association Scholarship while she was here. And she has a job with the Bureau of Land Management in Idaho that she's leaving for at the end of the month. So Riley has been the glue in our lab for many, many years, and we're going to miss her. But congratulations, Riley. Great job.
Hello, I'd like to introduce Caitlin Ware. My name is Brian Underwood. I'm on the Faculty of Environmental Biology. Kate is from the great state of Pennsylvania, where she worked a few years after getting her undergraduate degree for the Fish and Game Commission there. And I was looking for someone to do a pretty substantial field project, and after a lot of searching, we found a really good one up at Cranberry Lake Biological Station. Kate studied the interactive effects of white-tailed deer herbivory and beach bark disease on ground layer vegetation up there, probably the biggest study to date up there in a long time, probably 50 or 60 years. And she just defended her thesis yesterday, and we're really looking forward to great things from Kate in the future. I present Caitlin Ware. Yeah, two for me. I'd like to introduce Matt Roos. Matt came to my lab looking for a quantitative-oriented project, which is pretty rare. Usually those people run away from me as fast as they can, but not Matt. He was really interested in learning some more quantitative skills, and we were toying around with a study looking at wildlife vehicle collision data and what you can do with it. And Matt came up with the brilliant idea of maybe asking the organism what it could tell us about why they crossed the road at that spot and met a horrible end. And it turns out we think using two organismal perception values based on the visual system of mammals and a land cover map that we can predict where wildlife are likely to cross the road and actually put themselves in peril. So we see a lot of really worldwide applications in mitigating the horrible extent of wildlife vehicle collisions worldwide. So my pleasure to introduce to you Matt Roos.
Hello, me again. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Justin Hearn. Justin kind of recruited me as a major professor over a beer one time, and a long story. But he is a Native American and of the Mohawk Nation, and he has reclaimed his indigenous status, I guess. He's been a scholar in the Sloan program. He was hoping to work on sturgeon, the mighty sturgeon of the St. Lawrence. Didn't quite work, so he got to work on the tiny but fascinating blueback herring in the Hudson and Mohawk instead. And his thesis is titled Exploring Migration Histories Through Biomarker Chemistry for the Highly Migratory and Cryptic Blueback Herring. And this is a very squirrely little fish. It's got lots of different migration modes, I think, and so it's been a really interesting thing for him to work on. I think he was a little overwhelmed at times, but actually has really come to clarity, and it's been really fun to work with him. Time is up. Thank you and congratulations.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Stephen Thiel. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Environmental Biology, and I'm here to congratulate Grace Volmers, who has been working with me for a couple of years. Grace is from Houston, and she did her bachelor's degree at Baylor University. She worked on a really an interesting and very challenging project. This has been a project I've had going on for a number of years, and this is in the Galapagos Islands. There is an introduced insect that is a parasite on Darwin's finches, the iconic system of evolutionary biology. And many of these species now are very seriously threatened, endangered by the introduction of this parasite. And so Grace has done a number of very challenging methods and skills that she's developed on this project. She spent 3 months in Galapagos, and fortunately she's fluent in Spanish, which I know is very useful. She's also, and she did field work in Galapagos. She did behavioral studies in the laboratory, both in Galapagos and here in Syracuse. She learned electrophysiology, mass spectrometry, and she's an absolute whiz with statistics. And she has made significant progress in moving the needle forward on the identification of chemical attractants, which is the primary focus of this line of research that can be very useful in the management, very species-specific, environmentally friendly management of this invasive species. And so Grace has really done a phenomenal job, and she just defended this afternoon, a couple of hours ago. So congratulations to Grace. Okay, another 2-for-1 deal. So I'm also very happy to congratulate Danny Dreyer, who has also worked on the same project as Grace, so I don't have to repeat all of that, but she spent time in the Galapagos. Danny is originally from upstate New York, the Rochester area, and she did her bachelor's degree at Cornell in neuroscience, and worked for a few years and then decided to come back to grad school. And she was very interested in this project in Galapagos, and so she spent she arrived in January, and I think it was like February. I dragged her down to Galapagos for her first field season down there. And Danny has also learned a very similar set of skills that Grace has. Generally, that's what my grad students do. Danny also has developed a very complex methodology for quantifying acetone production. Acetone is a kind of a tricky molecule to capture and quantify, and it turns out that bird eggs release acetone, and that was discovered by a former grad student of mine, but she just figured out that they produce it. But Danny developed a method for quantifying it, so we could determine how much they produce over what stage of development of the egg. And this has turned out to be very, very groundbreaking work, actually. This has never been known about bird eggs before. And it turns out to be a very important chemical cue that this parasite uses in locating the nests of the birds that they parasitize. So Danny's work has been very, very interesting, and we haven't published yet, but it will be published this summer, and we're really excited to get this out. So congratulations to Danny.
Hello, I'm Melissa Furkey in the Department of Environmental Biology, and I'm a forest entomologist. And when I got an email from Jack Meemer, who was at the University of Georgia doing his bachelor's in entomology, I was very excited to bring him into the lab. He's been an amazing addition, and his work has been a little rocky here and there. So he's been studying jumping worms, which you may see in your own gardens, in your own yards, and it really takes out the organic layer. And so what his work has been looking at are the variables associated with the presence of jumping worms, and as well as how abundant they are. So his first summer, all of them died, and it was very disappointing, but he picked himself up by the bootstraps and did a great job this past summer. He's also been a teaching assistant in many of our classes, and as he came here, he was learning to play the guitar, and he has become quite good and is also a songwriter. So he's been the heart of my lab and helping everybody else, and we're going to miss you so much, Jack.
We have one more from the grad program in environmental science.
Good afternoon. I'm Russ Briggs, Director of the Division of Environmental Science. In the true interdepartmental fashion, I kind of sandwiched myself at the end of biology and at the beginning of engineering. So it's just a little thing. So I'm going to introduce Pat Barry. He's our outstanding, not only an MPS, finishing his MPS, he's an outstanding scholar. He has the Outstanding Scholars Award for the Division of Environmental Science. He's been improving his world for decades. Right? He came to us, got an agronomy degree and master's in '87 at Purdue. He worked all through for years, decades with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. He worked as soil scientist. He was district conservationist. He was a cartographer, and lastly, district conservationist. And he was finally retired from NRCS to come, and now he's with us. He's working as an adjunct instructor. And so he brings a wealth of knowledge to soil students. It's amazing to have someone with this kind of level and to come back, and his labs are prized by our students. And so I just want to say, where else but ESF would you get a professional in 40 years and to come back and teach at the, it's $1 an hour. So he wanted to give back, and so we're very happy to have him. And he said, why not finish another MPS? And he said, it'll make me a better teacher. And so he's already a great teacher, but this is extraordinary. So welcome very much. I'm really pleased to introduce my colleague and good friend, Pat Barry.
Okay, next we would like to recognize master's students in the Department of Environmental Resources Engineering.
My name is Doug Daly, Associate Professor in the department. I'm pleased to present Adam Mitchell, candidate for Master's Science degree. Adam has spent the last 2 years pondering one of life's great questions. I'm sure you've all spent time each week wondering the same thing. Is that paper egg carton actually recyclable? No, it's not. But Adam did take a look at determining the feasibility of composting molded fiber waste materials for landfill diversion. Adam arrived 2 years ago, and I immediately threw him into the field with a demonstration project with the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency nearby here. And I said, Adam, can you make 20 tons of wax-coated corrugated cardboard disappear in 60 days? That was his first exposure to field work. And we just reported that, yeah, he made 95% of it disappear to become compost. And his research project is a much smaller scale, looking at basically taking those egg carton materials and seeing if we can produce good compost from that. So how does Adam's work improve our world? This is all about sustainable materials management, closing the loop by diverting non-marketable paper products into a renewable waste resource, getting it out of landfills, which reduces carbon dioxide and methane emissions that contribute to global climate change. Oh, by the way, Adam is also a very active member of the ESF chapter of Ducks Unlimited, restoring, protecting, managing wetlands, and harvesting the inhabitants thereof.
Hello, my name is Tim Morin, and it is my great pleasure to introduce John Carnevale. John came into my lab with an undergraduate in physics and mathematics, and while he has been here, he wanted to get his kind of feet wet doing environmental engineering-based work, and I put him to work on improving models of wetland methane emissions. And specifically what we wanted to look at is whether marsh-type wetlands that have permanent standing water are missing a critical piece of their modeling components, which is really like, is there thermodynamic effects to the water turnover, and does that move methane out to the atmosphere faster? John, when we set up all of his research, we went through no fewer than 3 field sites due to a lot of problems that had nothing to do with John, but he was a very resilient student. He stuck with it, worked really hard on getting his results, and at the end of the day, he did a lot of field work, a lot of data interpretation, some extremely difficult modeling, and really heavy computational parametric searching, and ultimately
really pulled together a really nice thesis. I'm very pleased with the work. We'll have a John-shaped hole in our lab after this. So good work, John.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yachiyo from the same department, and my pleasure to introduce Mohammed Hashimi. Mohammed received his Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Sharif University of Technology, where he started biodegradation of dye wastewater, and his ESF journey started in January 2022 during pandemic, when he joined my group, and his master's thesis work focused on environmental transmission of antibiotic resistance. And antibiotic resistance is one of the top 10 threats to human health globally. And Mohammed conducted a meta-analysis to show that non-antibiotic contaminants, many of which are of emerging concern, actually will promote the spread of antibiotic resistant genes through horizontal gene transfer. And these contaminants are now ubiquitous in the environment. So their impact on antibiotic resistance has long been overlooked. And then Mohammed utilized systems biology approach to explore the efficacy of a natural product to mitigate horizontal gene transfer of antibiotic resistant genes. Collectively, his thesis work contributes to our ongoing combat against antibiotic resistance under the One Health framework. And at ESF, Mohammed also served as a TA for several courses. And very soon, Mohammed will start his new journey at Syracuse University to pursue a PhD in bioengineering to further improve our world.
Now I would like to recognize master's students in the Department of Environmental Studies.
I'm going to keep it together this time. Deanna would not have it any other way. This is Deanna Sullivan in Environmental Studies. She was funded by a contract with the New York State DEC. Deanna also received support from the Randolph G. Pack Graduate Student Fellowship. Her thesis is entitled Public Access, a Mismatch in Perceptions of the AMR Parking Reservation System Pilot. Besides being a major contributor to the Big State Report, she published an article with me. She's submitted another one as first author, and she's got another in the pipeline. Pretty amazing. The Improve Our World part is the knowledge sharing with the public and the DEC that highlights the importance of public engagement around management actions for hiking areas, often a patchwork of public and private lands and interests. Thank you, Deanna. Writing and working with you has been amazing. I just learned that she can play electric guitar, not to be outdone by anybody here. She also has a job at the DEC, which she already started. Let's give her a hand.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tina Limpert, and in the Department of Environmental Studies, we study the human dimensions of the environment. And it's my pleasure to introduce Camden Roberts, who's earning an MPS, a Master's of Professional Studies, here at ESF. Camden's work was entitled Small Ball, Critical Reflections on the Social Role of Financially Accessible Baseball. And Camden's work examined the exclusionary history of baseball and the construction of American identity through the lens of urbanization and environmental justice literatures. His MPS project makes recommendations to address barriers to access in America's favorite pastime. Cam's work at ESF improves our world. In addition to his MPS work, he has served as a beloved TA and union organizer here at ESF. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teresa Selfa. I'm a professor and chair of the Environmental Studies Department, and I'm very happy to introduce Amanda Hunt, who is receiving her MS in Environmental Studies. Her thesis is titled Extraction, Electric Vehicles, and Environmental Injustice, a case study of the Thacker Pass mine. And Amanda's thesis was really remarkable. It came together a lot at the very end, but it was really excellent. So Amanda will improve our world by highlighting the community and environmental impacts of lithium mining in rural communities for electric vehicle batteries, and really the contradictions of the green energy transition that we're hearing so much about, but it also needs to be a just energy transition. So congratulations, Amanda.
All right, so I'm Josh Cousins, an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental Studies. As co-chair with Teresa Selfa. I wasn't sure if you want to introduce yourself or not. But anyways, I have the great pleasure of introducing Ellie Hangian, who's receiving her MS Environmental Studies here today. The title of her thesis was Placing Value, Understanding Collective Priorities in Syracuse, New York, and Berkshire County, Massachusetts. She came to SUNY ESF 2 years ago from Carleton University, and her thesis really charted out the different ways that we might think about value, especially around alternative economies, and think about the role of local currencies in shaping how we might plan for a more sustainable future. But she also did an incredible amount of community-engaged work on how to plan for what we value, especially in the face of change, and really developing solutions on what we value. And she's making an incredibly large impact doing this type of work. And as she's moving on, she's taking on a position back home at Martha's Vineyard, taking on a planning position. So congratulations, Ellie.
Hello, my name is Patrice Cole. I'm in the Department of Environmental Studies, and it is my great honor to introduce John Paul Buckmeyer, who is receiving an MPS in our program. I am introducing John Paul on behalf of his major professor, Paul Hirsch, but I also have had the wonderful opportunity to have John Paul in my class during my first semester teaching in the MPS program. John Paul is one of the first graduate students to graduate from our MPS program in environmental leadership, justice, and communication. He came to us as a communication and marketing professional with nearly 30 years of experience working with industry leaders on issues of health, education, and the environment, and poverty alleviation. John Paul currently serves as Chief Impact Officer at the creative communications agency MBooth. When the company he works for began tapping him for his background in sustainability, he realized he needed a deeper grounding in environmental issues and chose to join the MPS program at SUNY ESF. For John Paul's capstone project, he applied what he was learning to develop a strategic advocacy and communications plan for the Natural Areas Conservancy in New York City, an organization dedicated to preserving the city's natural areas. It has been a joy to know John Paul virtually, and it's been a wonderful joy to have him here in person today. Thank you, John Paul.
Next, we recognize master's students in the Department of Landscape Architecture.
Hello, I'm Aidan Ackerman, Assistant Professor of Landscape Architecture, and it is my pleasure to introduce Diane Ballard. Diane will be receiving her Master of Landscape Architecture degree, which is a first professional degree and the first step in qualifying people to sit for their licensure exams. Diane's capstone research project, titled The Art of Resistance, Inspiring Climate Action Through Storytelling Gamescapes, embraced the transformative power of storytelling by proposing a novel form of participatory design through augmented reality to catalyze community-led change. Her work envisioned empowering communities by enabling them to visualize and implement their own ideas directly into the urban fabric. Her project highlighted several experiential qualities designed to engage users on a deep level. These included crafting sensory experiences to heighten awareness and engagement with the environment, making each virtual interaction memorable. Diane proposed using each element of the landscape as a narrative tool in virtual reality, telling stories of the place, its history, and its potential futures. Her proposed AR augmented reality design utilizes visually striking elements to attract and hold the attention of participants, making each interaction impactful, and working to take a community problem and turn it into community action. Diane improves our world through the concept of gamescape design, where the landscape itself becomes a gamified environment. Congratulations, Diane. I also want to mention that she has already started her new position as a landscape designer at Syracuse-based CNS Companies. Congratulations again. Oh, sorry. It is also my pleasure to introduce Arlene Bartels, who is also receiving her first professional degree, her Master of Landscape Architecture. Arlene's capstone research project, titled The Success Factor, tracing the connection between design intent, maintenance, and long-term landscape success, was inspired by both decades of practice experience as well as her research role with the National Park Service, Flight 93 National Memorial, worked on through the SUNY ESF Center for Cultural Landscape Preservation. Her research explored what at first seemed like an unglamorous study into an often marginalized topic, landscape maintenance. However, through rigorous research, she showed us that the topic of landscape maintenance is urgent, provocative, controversial, and deeply meaningful to a wide range of professionals, ranging from hourly wage groundskeepers to design firm principals. Arlene's capstone research improves our world not only by providing insights, but also inspiring change, suggesting that a deeper appreciation and strategic planning of landscape management could greatly enhance the longevity and success of these vital spaces. She calls for a collaborative effort among all stakeholders to elevate the role of maintenance from a mere necessity to a critical component in the life cycle of a landscape, ensuring these spaces continue to enrich our lives and environments. I'd also like to draw your attention to the awards section of the program, which features many awards that Arlene has received. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Carter, and I'm an associate professor with the Department of Landscape Architecture. And I would like to introduce to you Allison Perry. Allison is getting the Master of Landscape Architecture. She came to us with a previous degree, a Master of Science in Mental Health Counseling from SUNY Oswego. And Allison's capstone client was the Champlain Adirondack Biosphere Reserve. And her topic for her capstone was creating soft citizenship in the Champlain Adirondack Biosphere Reserve with guidance from me and from Professor Aidan Ackerman, from whom you just heard. Allison was in my seminar on UNESCO Biosphere Reserves, and we found ourselves talking about how to develop soft citizenship, that sense of belonging that you have in a place beyond where you pay taxes or where you vote. Allison decided that it might be a good idea to try to encourage soft citizenship in the Champlain Adirondack Biosphere Reserve, and more specifically to do so by writing a children's book. I think at the beginning of her book it says something to the effect that if you want to make a long-term investment, you start with educating children. So she spent the summer of 2023 traveling through both the Champlain Adirondack and Frontenac Arch Biosphere Reserves, the latter being in Canada, to discover how much need there might be for such a book. And she discovered there was much need. After documenting her summer research, Allison wrote a children's book called Soft Citizen Creation in the Champlain Adirondack Biosphere Reserve. Drafts have been sent to regional biosphere reserves in the Great Lakes St. Lawrence region and also to the U.S. Biosphere Network. They are excited about it and want to see it published, which a process that we'll begin working on after commencement. So the work was well received, and we'll hopefully find a publisher in the next couple of months. Allison will be going to work for the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, where she will replace Jean Gleisner, who was a BLA and MS graduate of our program some years ago. In fact, Allison is already working. Congratulations, Allison. Next, I would like to introduce you to Lauren May Suge. She's getting the degree Master of Landscape Architecture. She came to us from the University of California at Davis, where she took a Bachelor of Science in Ecological Management and Restoration. Lauren's capstone client was California Open Lands, and also the Maidu tribe of Northern California. Her capstone topic was exploring designs for a TEK educational community near Chico, California, with guidance from me and Dr. Daniel Cronin. This project was for the design of an educational community near Chico, California. The project was an exploration of how traditional environmental knowledge might contribute to a community-scale facility for seasonal education in large-scale management that emphasizes fire prevention and management for traditional medicinal and nutritional landscapes. This work is a contribution to the Maidu tribe's argument for co-managing Northern California landscapes in conjunction with the state of California and the federal government. In keeping with her desire to be a perpetual activist, Lauren is going back to Los Angeles, where she'll start working with a group called Design in Color, which works in addressing underserved communities. Congratulations. I'd next like to introduce you to Brian Pulver. Brian's getting the Master of Landscape Architecture. He came to us with a BA in chemistry from the University at Buffalo. Brian's capstone client was the Syracuse City School District and the Syracuse Department of Parks, Recreation, and Youth Programs, organizations that I'm working with. And his capstone topic was a classroom park, a creek restoration and community learning space, with guidance from me and from Dr. Ellen White. This project is for the creation of a park and outdoor classrooms where Onondaga County's Meadowbrook Stream passes the Syracuse City School District's Nottingham High School. I asked Brian if he would be interested in this topic because I'm interested in offering case studies to the school district as part of my effort to help them develop a framework for biophilic school sites. Brian, who has worked for some time at Foyt Albert Engineers, was particularly interested in making the Meadowbrook a living waterway. The design is compelling, and I will share it with municipal and school district officials this coming summer. Brian is hoping to hear any day now that he will be working for the New York State Department of Transportation in Albany, New York. Congratulations. Finally, I'd like to present to you Zvi Teitelbaum. Zvi is getting the Master of Landscape Architecture. He came to us with a Master of Science in Wildlife Biology from City College of New York. Zvi's capstone client was the Zoological Society of Philadelphia, Patricia Aden, President and CEO. The capstone topic is an expansion of the Philadelphia Zoo, with guidance from myself and Samuel Quinn from the Department of Environmental Biology. The Philadelphia Zoo was the first zoo in the United States. It is one of the premier zoos in the world for breeding animals that are difficult to breed in captivity. It has long been landlocked by rail lines and highways. Zvi's project found a way to double the size of the zoo. People have been working on this thing for decades. Zvi is probably got the scheme that they're going to use. So doubling the size of the zoo, allowing for the exhibition of herds of grassland animals such as zebras and wildebeests. He also developed a new entrance and found ways to better connect the zoo to Philadelphia's East Parkside neighborhood through interactive and educational exhibits. He will be presenting his work to the Zoological Society's leadership team this summer. After commencement, Zvi will be working for the New York State Department of Transportation, Region 3 here in downtown Syracuse, where he'll serve on a team with at least 2 other MLA grads from this program. Congratulations, Zvi.
Hello, I'm Matt Potiker in Landscape Architecture, and I'd like to introduce Julia Wilson. Julia engages the world as an artist and weaver in particular, and now hopefully as a landscape architect. Here at ESF, she really spliced her knowledge of weaving and art practice with skills and from other disciplines and practices and worked at a new expanded scale and complexity. She was our Olmsted Scholar. It's a national recognition. And she also was a participant, an important team member of the Syracuse Urban Food Forest Project. And with that project, she was helping to thread a line of an edible riparian corridor through the city. She was really irreplaceable member of that team, and Stu DeMont and I are in denial about how we're going to replace her. Her capstone project, designing with in-between landscapes, weaving adaptability through the Petite Ceinture. That was done in France. Julia went to France, to Paris, and she found a disused rail line around Paris called the Petite Ceinture. And her vision was to promote the dynamic biodiversity and informal social engagement of this vital emergent cultural ecology. And weaving became a rigorous method of sampling the spontaneous vegetation and weaving that vegetation to create tapestries in situ that also acted as means of seed dispersal and a model for stitching together spaces and restoring habitat and encouraging unique forms of stewardship. So this was a really amazing project. So many stories with that. I wish we could tell some of those stories. In the immediate future, Julia will be working a few intense weeks this summer in Quebec at the Jardin de Mathis to install her design that was one of 4 designs selected to be implemented from an international design competition. And I'll have to include that I learned a lot about weaving this semester. In fact, today I learned that my vest is made from jacquard cloth. Okay, but on another level, Julia really demonstrated the power of weaving and its importance as a practice for integrating knowledge of arts and sciences for shaping complex systems. So thank you, Julia.
And as our final department, we recognize master's students in the Department of Sustainable Resources Management. Oh, not yet. One more. Hold. 2. I retract what I just said.
Hello, everyone. I am Dan Cronin, Assistant Professor of Landscape Architecture here at SUNY ESF. And as a penalty for missing that, we're going to hold a 90-minute talk, a keynote, basically, for the end. So, sorry. So I'm pleased to introduce Tori Shaw, a candidate for the Masters of Landscape Architecture with our program for the Department of Landscape Architecture. In the spirit of research, I ran a survey to ask our students what they thought was the most impactful in how what they've taken away from the program, but also from their time here at SUNY ESF. The title of our project is Oxidation on the Landscape, Exploring the Life Cycle of Industrial Structures Through Theory and Practice. This research contributes to design research by bridging the gap between 2 fields, categorization, analysis, and data-driven design. This project studies the life cycle cost and adaptive reuse of materials in industrial facilities within the city of Syracuse. So in the survey, there was another question that I asked: who is your favorite professor, and why was it so great working with Dan? We didn't have an IRB for this, so we can't give you the results, but yeah. She also listed the most important thing that she's gathered here at SUNY ESF from the Department of Landscape Architecture, and that's really been science communication, graphics, and also categorization as a transferable framework. This is results from Tori. My favorite project has been working in the gallery with Professor Matt Pottinger and the sketchbook archives and usage of categorization. I love seeing all the students that travel around the world, and then also the sketches that have inspired me to start my own. So congratulations, Tori. It's been an honor working with you. right, so me again. And I'd like to introduce Michael Sirico. So I'm pleased to introduce Michael as a candidate for the Masters of Science in Landscape Architecture. His project is titled A New Park Retrofits for Syracuse, New York, a design-based urban stormwater management solutions. So the thesis was about understanding feasibility of federal-level criteria where stormwater green infrastructure and solutions can be implemented here in Syracuse. So I asked Michael, also a similar research question from the survey, what was the most interesting tool and skill that you picked up from your studies here at SUNY ESF? And his response was basically aligned with geospatial analysis to inform design. Landscape architecture sparked my creative, critical thinking skills. I believe that landscape architects think differently from most other professions, and this way of thinking is something that has taught me a framework that is transferable. My ability to use software and communicate my ideas has grown and is essential to my future career. Now, most fields are developing a mastery of landscape architecture, or most fields that takes about 10,000 hours. We clocked Michael at 9,487. So what are you doing for this summer? No, I'm joking. No. I'd like to congratulate Michael Sirico for his master's.
Okay, I've been informed that I now get to say this. Okay, next we recognize master's students in the Department of Sustainable Resources Management.
So I'll just say my name is Ruth Yanai. I'm a distinguished professor, and I'm excited to introduce Erin Cornell, one of our distinguished graduates, who distinguished herself as an undergraduate, I might say, at ESF. So I was very lucky that she decided to stay on after doing an honors thesis on beech bark disease in a long-term study of stands of different ages of northern hardwood forests in New Hampshire. I'll tell you that nitrogen fixation makes life on Earth possible, and Erin has been studying for her master's thesis free-living nitrogen fixation in northern hardwoods that don't have symbiotic nitrogen fixation. And she's found that she can measure it in soils and litter as well as what had been previously reported only in dead wood. So this is important. It was a lot of work and involves working with acetylene, which is a flammable and explosive gas. So Erin has made my life better by taking on chief safety officer responsibilities. I think, does transporting calcium carbide involve you put it in a container inside another container inside another container? Am I exaggerating? She improved my, since an undergraduate, she's been responsible for our archives of documents. She's improved our data documentation and our field protocols. You can ask her about that later. And speaking of the Natural Resources Conservation Service, there are 2 offices in 2 states competing for her next job. And while she's waiting for one or more of them to come through, she's already got a soils research position here for the summer with our soil scientist, Cole Gross. Well, thank you, Erin.
Hi, my name is Renee Germain, and I'm a professor with Sustainable Resources Management, and it's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Drybelbus. Sarah graduated from Ball State University in 2015 in journalism and telecommunications. Soon after, she went to New York City to go to culinary school, and so she worked there for about 7 years as a chef, a personal chef, and then became a wine and whiskey consultant. So if you ever looking for the perfect host, Sarah is it, because you're going to have great food, great whiskey, and great wine. After about 7 years of hectic living in New York City, legend has it that she heard a voice while gazing at the 59th Street Bridge in New York City telling her to slow down, you move too fast. Does anyone get that? That's when she decided to become a forester. So her research is on the tree that built America, eastern white pine, my favorite tree. And her thesis title is Improving Lumber Grade Recovery of Eastern White Pine, Evidence from a Sawmill Study. Yes, she spent several days in a white pine sawmill up in the Adirondacks. And her baking skills were critical because she baked at least 5 dozen cookies for the men and women working in the sawmill. She followed 100 white pine trees from the forest through the sawmill, analyzing grade recovery. Her results are going to definitely improve our world because the U.S. Forest Service will be changing their grading rules based on Sarah's good work. And so congratulations, Sarah.
Hello again, Colin Byer. I am very pleased and proud to say a few words about Madeleine Durocher. Coming to us 7 years ago from a place known as the Northeast Kingdom, some of you might have heard of it, from day one as an undergrad advisor, I knew she was exceptional even for Vermont royalty here in humble upstate New York. In her time at ESF, during which she's earned now 2 degrees, many awards I don't have time to list, Maddie has really done it all and exceeded expectations in all that she's done, from coursework, research, teaching, outreach, athletics, and just overall leadership. All this while putting up with me on a regular basis. Maddie's research on remote monitoring and change detection in forest landscapes is both boundary pushing and highly practical. It advances our understanding of how forest landscapes are changing in response to many converging factors and threats, while providing a novel and powerful toolkit for stewardship of New York's and New England's forest landscapes for their many benefits to humans, including as climate solutions. One of the great privileges we have as ESF faculty is to work with young people who truly inspire hope in an uncertain future. I've been here for almost 17 years, who knows how many more, but Maddie will always be at the top of that list for me. Well done, Maddie. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eddie Bevilacqua. I'm a professor in the Department of Sustainable Resources Management, and I'd like to introduce you to Wilson Burton. Wilson came to ESF with a bachelor's degree in philosophy and decided that that was not for him, and he decided to come initially to enroll in our Master of Forestry program. But then once he was here for a semester, he realized that research was his interest, and so he switched into our Master's of Science program. For his research contributed to improving methods for estimating forest carbon sequestration by focusing on one of the kind of unknown parts of the forest community, that being the often overlooked component of the understory forests. So his research focused on using a combination of remote sensing data, specifically light detection and ranging or LiDAR data, in conjunction with machine learning models to better predict how much forest carbon there is in the understory, so that we can then model better get better estimates, of how forests are mitigating climate change. So I'd like to congratulate Wilson on his work.
So I'm Steve Stamen, and I'm introducing Fernanda Gonzalez, who whose work addresses monitoring of deforestation and degradation, working with statistical sampling, and humans do intensive interpretation of satellite imagery. They can only do that at a limited number of locations, and Fernanda's studying how to limit the number of places where they would have to do that. She's been a wonderful member of our ESF and SRM community, and she's also in a leadership position with an International Association of Forestry Students. So she's done a great job while she's here, and I appreciate what she has done. Thank you. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce Ana Valeria Medina. She successfully did her capstone seminar on Wednesday without any nerves whatsoever and did a very nice job of that. Her work has focused on how to use ground sample data combined with biomass maps to look at ways to precisely estimate forest biomass. During her years here, she has learned a lot about mapping geographic information systems, communications, and ecology, and I expect her to confidently go forward and improve our world with the knowledge that she's learned here. So congratulations to Ana Valeria.
Finally, we recognize the Certificate of Advanced Studies student in the Department of Environmental Studies.
Hello, my name is Patrice Cole. I'm an assistant professor in environmental studies, and it is my honor to introduce Lauren Bristol. I'm introducing Lauren on behalf of her major professor, Paul Hirsch, who wasn't able to be here today. Lauren is receiving an advanced graduate certificate in environmental leadership after earning her undergraduate degree in English literature from California State University, Northridge, a decade ago. Lauren's career path included a stint working in the California public school system, teaching abroad in South Korea, and working as payment specialist for an education company. In 2021, Lauren realized her true passion resided in environmental studies, and she began working as an environmental educator for Leave No Trace. She then sought to build on that experience through enrolling in ESF's Advanced Certificate Program. Lauren brings a mix of experience, curiosity, and compassion to class discussions and to analyzing complex issues. Most recently, she looked at the issue of copper mining in Oak Flat, Arizona, from the perspective of the people most affected by the issue. Lauren can currently be found in ESF's own Office of Research, where she is bringing her various interests and skills together as a sponsored programs assistant in the Office of Research. Congratulations, Lauren.
Okay, platform party, you may be seated. Yeah. So I realize that I am now all that stands in between your ability to stand up and feel your feet once more. So I will try to read quickly. And Charles, it is only fair that you also time me as well. Okay. I will now read the remarks from the PhD student and GSA chairperson of Graduate Research and Curriculum, Wandwosin Aga, on their behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, faculty members, and most importantly, the remarkable graduates of 2024 before us today, I would like to say congratulations on behalf of me and GSA. Today marks a significant milestone in your lives, one that you've worked tirelessly to achieve. As you stand on the threshold of a new chapter, remember that your education doesn't end here. It's a lifelong journey of growth and discovery. Embrace the challenges ahead with courage, determination, and the knowledge that you are well equipped at ESF to make a difference around the world. Your potential is boundless, and I have no doubt that you will go on to achieve great things. So as you step out into the world, carry with you the lessons learned, the friendships forged, and the memories cherished from your time here. Congratulations once again, and may your future be as bright as your success today. You got ahead of me on the applause, but that was awesome. Thank you. Okay, we now come to the final part of the program. You now join the distinguished group of ESF Graduate School alumni. The staff at the graduate school have enjoyed working with you all. We are proud of you all, and we hope you will stay connected and engaged with ESF, creating a network of highly skilled individuals working together to understand and address environmental issues all over the world. Before we finish, there are a few more thanks to extend. First, I would like to thank the graduate school staff for their tireless support of all aspects of the graduate student experience at ESF and their help here today. Thank you to Assistant Dean Katrina Searing, Laura Payne, and Charles Garbut from the graduate school, and Ebi Aduk-Khalil, Aditi Verma, and Jules Finley from the Office of International Education. And finally, thank you to the families and friends of graduates for your great support of tremendous scholars as they pursued their dreams and completed a graduate degree. Would you please all stand in recognition? This now concludes our program for this evening. We ask that all graduates please gather at the front of the room by the stage for group photos. We will start with PhD graduates, followed by master's and certificate advanced study graduates. Guests, please join us for a reception in the back of the room, and graduates will join you after their photos. Have a good evening.